Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. And in previous videos we have learned that what is programming, why we need to learn programming languages. And in last video we have learned that levels of programming languages. So there are low level and high level programming languages. In low level programming languages we have seen that machine level language and assembly language. So to machine level language we don't need to convert that uh, code, whatever code we have written in machine language, because it is already in binary form. But in assembly language we have to convert that code into machine code. And in high level languages also we need to convert that code into machine code. So we use translator, like language translator, to convert that source code into machine code. So in this video we will see the language translators. So let's get started. So there are three language translators: assembler, compiler, and interpreter. Assembler is a program that converts the code we have written in assembly language into machine code, that is in binary form, in zeros and in the form of zeros and one. So the next is compiler and interpreter. We use compiler and interpreter to convert the code or translate the code written in high level languages into machine code or into object code. So there are many differences between the compiler and interpreter. So let's see. So compiler, it converts the code before the execution of the program, and interpreter, it converts the code while the program is running. Like it is in compiler, it will translate that code and then it will run that program. But in interpreter, it will translate the code while the program is running. And in compiler, it will take complete source code and convert it into machine code. Like how many statements are there, it will take the whole program, like every statement at the one time, and it will convert that source code into the machine code. But in interpreter, it will take one line by line. It will take one statement, first statement, then it will translate that statement, and then it will run. So the translation done before the execution in compiler, and in interpreter, translation execution runs parallelly. Like we are taking one statement, then it will translate that statement, and at the same time it will run. So the execution and translation runs parallelly in interpreter. And in compiler, separate files for the object code would be created. Like we are converting the statement, like we are taking whole code, translating it into the object code. It will create the separate object file for object file for the code, and it will create the separate file for the object code. But in interpreter, there is no separate file would be created for the object. You will directly get output, like it will directly run that statement, and it will move to the next statement. So compiler need more memory as compared to the interpreter, because it is creating the separate file for the object code. But in the interpreter, we are not creating the separate file for the object code, so it use less memory. Debugging is tough in compiler, because we are taking the whole code at the same time, and we are converting that, and we are translating that, and at the end we are getting the all the list of the all errors and warnings So debugging is tough, and but in interpreter we are executing line by line, so the debugging is easy. No need of source code, because in compiler we don't need source code, because like we are converting the all the statements given in the program at the same time, so uh, we don't need source code again, because it will create the object code, then linking and loading will done, and then executable file will be created, and it will run that program, then we will run that program. But in interpreter we are taking one statement, then it will translate, and then we will run at the same time. So for the next second statement we need source code to convert that statement. So interpreter, every time interpreter needs source code, it takes less time to execute, because in compiler we are taking this whole code at the same time, so we use less time to execute that program. But interpreter we are taking line by line, so it is slower than compiler. So there are C++, C and C++ are the compiled languages, and the Python and Ruby, these are interpreted languages. If you find this video helpful for you, then don't forget to like, share and subscribe. So that's it for today's video, guys. We'll see in next video. Till then, take care and study hard.